when you're in a debate, so we're just kind of talking about the relationship between a debate and a conversation. The goal of a debate is to beat somebody, is to destroy your enemy. But the goal in a conversation is to seek out truth, beauty, and goodness. Truth, beauty, and goodness in a conversation versus trying to destroy your enemy. And it takes us being a good human being in order to have good conversation. And he said even a proper debate looks more like a good conversation than what we see politicians do, which is, in many cases completely pointless and ineffective because they're violating so many different rules and guidelines to have healthy and good conversations with each other. Where I guess here's a great way. This is a great assessment or thing that I've learned is the goal of my conversations to discover new or more truth, beauty, and goodness. Is that the goal of my conversations, or am I just trying to win? Am I trying to be right instead of trying to discover truth, beauty, and goodness? And my facilitator disagrees with me. Emotional intelligence absolutely impacts somebody's willingness to engage in good conversation and healthy conversation and productive conversation. I think he would argue that it's just a matter of tools. They don't have the right tools. And also I think, because he said, well, it takes humility. Well, humility, in my opinion, is a function of emotional intelligence. If you don't have a higher EQ, if you don't have high emotional intelligence, you're not going to be open. You're not going to be teachable. And I absolutely think that emotional intelligence impacts one's humility. What is going on, EQ gangsters? What? All right, so check this out. We are in Buena Vista, Colorado, and it is absolutely amazing. Like, God's nature is absolutely mind-boggling, incredibly powerful. I'm literally in a valley surrounded by mountains all around me. Behind me, if you're on YouTube, you'll be able to see this. Look at this. I'm giving you a quick scan here. Check this out. Look how beautiful this place is. So I am surrounded by yellow aspen trees and mountains in a log cabin at a high school retreat that we're here with our daughter. So, and it is, again, amazing. And for those of y'all that know me, know that I love learning. And I want to share some lessons with you all. And I'm going to be looking at my notes a lot. So again, for those of y'all that are watching on YouTube, you'll be seeing me looking down a lot again, because I am checking out all of my notes, because I want to share with you all, again, a lot of the lessons that I've learned, in hopes that you all may get something out of this as well. For those that you love learning as well. And I'm going to be incorporating emotional intelligence into this stuff. So let me give you some context. Well, first of all, let me thank you all. First, thank you guys for being a part of our emotional growth journey and letting us be a part of your emotional growth journey. It is absolutely a privilege and honor and blessing. And I love, growing alongside you guys. It's been, again, just such a blessing. I say the same thing to our corporate EQ leader development clients that I'm working with and coaching. Same thing. I just say, hey, look, it is a blessing to grow alongside you all. And so, and I learn a ton from every one of my clients. I learn from all of you that are our listeners and viewers that share your own emotional growth journeys with us as well. And thank you. So I tremendously appreciate the relationship that we have with you guys and that you guys have with me. And I'm very thankful for that. And so excited, y'all. I'm so excited to share all that Kathy, my awesome wife, has put together for our EQ Mafia, our membership that's going to be opening up again here very, very soon. And the rebranding from EQ for Entrepreneurs to EQ Gangster. I'm just super excited, man, what she has put together for our members. And again, our 8-week course on emotional intelligence is getting absorbed and assimilated into our membership. So that's going to be part of it. We're going to be going live twice a month for group coaching on emotional intelligence and on basically all topics around emotional intelligence, which is a truckload. We are also going to be bringing in guest speakers, having them speak on emotional intelligence, emotional health, their areas of expertise. It is going to be amazing. So again, thank you all. And thank you all for rating, reviewing, subscribing, sharing episodes that are important to you, episodes that impact you, that may impact some of your friends or family members or colleagues or coworkers, whether you share it on social media, on, again, a podcast episode, a YouTube episode. Thank you guys so much. I totally appreciate that. All right, so we're at this. The context is a high school retreat, and it's kind of a classical high school retreat because our kid is, we use a homeschool program called Classical Conversations, and it's a classical Christian homeschool program, K through 12, that uses the Socratic method. So a lot of discussion. It's a lot of discussion. I got in trouble for talking in public school, and now my daughter's doing it actually as part of her curriculum, which is super dope because we learn a lot in conversation and discussion and iron sharpening, right? Proverbs 27:17, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. So, okay, so the cool thing about the classical model is that they give us the tools of learning. So not what to learn, but how to learn and how to critically think, which in today's world, I think is lacking tremendously. And so I'm really excited to share some of these lessons with you all in hopes that they will not only impact your emotional intelligence and emotional health, but also impact your thinking and ability to think. There's a lot of questions I'll be throwing out at you. And again, just be patient with me as I'm scrolling through I've got 2 sets of notes. So I have one set of notes on my laptop and then another set of notes on my journal, my notebook. All right, and I'm just going to go through. So one of the things we talked about was Genesis 4, 1 through 17, talking about Cain and Abel, the OGs. Well, not the super OGs, but like the OGs, big Cain and Abel. And, many of you guys know the story. Big Cain was upset at big Abel because Abel, the quick skinny is Abel's heart was pure and right, and he wanted to give this super duper gift to God because he was grateful and thankful and all this stuff. And big Cain was too busy for all that. So he provided kind of this weak sauce gift, and this weak sauce offering was kind of an afterthought. He's like, oh, my bad, I forgot, God, here's a little something. He got it from Dollar General. Right. And so, which obviously pissed God off. Abel's offering pleased God, and so Cain got upset at Abel. He was jealous and upset that his brother had the right heart, had the right attitude, and he didn't, and so Cain killed Abel. And one of the questions that our facilitator asked us today was, would you rather be Cain or Abel? Would you rather be Cain or Abel? Interesting thought and interesting question. And I wish I don't have the Bible in front of me and I don't have it memorized. So to tell you the whole thing, God made Cain's life pretty rough because of what he did. But God even still protected Cain and put some sort of marking identifier on him, maybe a ball cap or something, the original ball cap or something, so that no one would mess with Cain, even though Cain did not, was a federal offender, was a murderer. So anyway, would you rather be Cain or Abel? Interesting question. And one of the points that the facilitator made is we're really all Cains. We all think, some of us may think, well, hey, I'd rather be an Abel, even though I'd get killed and all that kind of stuff. But, Abel did the right thing, Cain didn't. But the reality is, the facilitator said we're all Cains. If you want to get down to it, we're all selfish human beings. And yes, we have some good aspects and all that kind of stuff, but he was just kind of bringing out a lot of folks nowadays try to sugarcoat and, oh no, we're all, and we all have value. There's no doubt about that. We all have tremendous value. We all have equal value of pricelessness. We also have a very, very sinful, selfish streak in all of us. That is part of being a human being. So as much as we'd like to think that we're Abels, we're really Cains. And so now what do we do with that? What do we do with the fact that we are Cains? How do we wrestle with that nature that we all have? Then he went on to share a really neat story, an American Indian Cherokee parable. And I'm kind of paraphrasing a little bit here and even taking it a little bit different direction than what he had originally shared, but I think there's still value in this. So this young boy was talking to the wise Cherokee Indian chief of his tribe, and the young boy was like, hey chief, tell me a story. And so the American Indian Cherokee chief told him the story that we all have two wolves inside of us. We have a good wolf and an evil wolf. And the evil wolf represents pride and arrogance and selfishness and all things that kind of self just everything revolves around self, basically. And the good wolf portrays compassion and great graciousness and goodness and love and care and that kind of stuff. And the little boy said, well, which one's going to win? And then the Indian chief responded, the one you feed the most. And again, I'm paraphrasing because I've heard that story before, the one I just shared. Our facilitator shared a little different ending, but that's the ending that I have heard before, whichever one you feed the most. Now, biblically speaking, obviously we can't get rid of the evil wolf, that sinful nature. Obviously we all have that until we die. So how do we deal with that evil wolf throughout our lifetime? How do we minimize, starve, essentially, that evil wolf so that it does not overtake us? Another interesting thought is that, this is really interesting. So then we went to breakfast, had a really interesting conversation. God isn't true because the Bible said so. The Bible is true because God said so. It's all about truth. And one of the objectives is to hold my own beliefs up to objective truth regularly. It's not about what I want to be true or what I was even taught to be true. So hold my own beliefs up to objective truth regularly. What happens is culture and society seeps in and tries to dilute that truth. And emotional intelligence plays into that tremendously, because do I have the emotional endurance, resilience, fortitude, and spiritual endurance, resilience, and fortitude, and foundation to not cave to whatever society thinks the truth is during that particular flavor of the month of culture and society during our generation. And it changes. I don't even know how many times it's changed just during my lifetime. It's ever changing, culture and society, what they deem important and true and right. Do I have the mental, emotional, spiritual foundation to not go with the wind of society based on where the wind of society is blowing at that particular moment or season? So I want to believe the God that is, not the God of my imagination. So again, it's not true because the Bible said so. It's the Bible said so because it's true. And again, truth is God. Truth comes from God in my particular faith background. So another thing he talked about is the power of conversation. when you're in a debate, so just kind of talking about the relationship between a debate and a conversation, the goal of a debate is to beat somebody, is to destroy your enemy. But the goal in a conversation is to seek out truth, beauty, and goodness. Truth, beauty, and goodness in a conversation versus trying to destroy your enemy. And it takes us being a good human being in order to have good conversation. And he said even a proper debate looks more like a good conversation than what we see politicians do, which is, in many cases completely pointless and ineffective because they're violating so many different rules and guidelines to have healthy and good conversations with each other. Where I guess here's a great way. This is a great assessment or thing that I've learned is the goal of my conversations to discover new or more truth, beauty, and goodness. Is that the goal of my conversations, or am I just trying to win? Am I trying to be right instead of trying to discover truth, beauty, and goodness? And my facilitator disagrees with me. Emotional intelligence absolutely impacts somebody's willingness to engage in good conversation and healthy conversation and productive conversation. I think he would argue that it's just a matter of tools. They don't have the right tools. And also I think, because he said, well, it takes humility. Well, humility, in my opinion, is a function of emotional intelligence. If you don't have a higher EQ, if you don't have high emotional intelligence, you're not going to be open. You're not going to be teachable. And I absolutely think that emotional intelligence impacts one's humility. And I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that. What do you guys think the relationship is between EQ and humility? In fact, I want to write that down because I want to do a whole separate episode just on that right there. Because I think that's a very worthy and worthwhile question to think about and ponder at some point. Okay, so great thoughts on just conversation and debate. All right, some other thoughts that were really impactful for me was this is something that came out of it. Does God have different principles that he values more than others? What is the value of conversations? What is the value of conversation in your life? What is your goal in a conversation? What is your intent in a conversation? Right? What percentage of the conversation are you trying to discover versus communicate or share your thoughts or side of the story, so to speak. So a couple other thoughts there I thought were really interesting. So that relationship between conversation and debate. And then let's see, another thought that I thought was really interesting is, okay, check this one out. We want to move from feelings to thought to truth. Feelings to thought to truth. Again, feelings is that whole EQ part. If you are not emotionally healthy enough or emotionally mature enough, emotionally intelligent enough, it's going to be more challenging to go along that journey, to go from feelings to thought to truth. Another one, I thought he shared a really interesting thought here. You can't have a conversation with someone not willing to be persuaded. Think about that one. You can't have a conversation with someone not willing to be persuaded. So how about you? Are you willing to be persuaded in a conversation? Are you willing to put your beliefs on the line to discover truth, beauty, and goodness? How important is truth to you? Man, that's a great question. How important is truth to you? And another question is, what role does truth play in your life? What role does truth play in your life? That's another great question to chew on and think about. One of the things he said was, if you don't understand the other person's perspective, how can you have a legitimate judgment on their stance, opinion, or perspective? If you don't truly understand the other person's perspective, how can you have a legitimate judgment on their stance, opinion, or perspective? What's interesting is, too, most people don't even know how they've come up with their beliefs or even what their beliefs are based on. Most of us have a very weak sauce or half-butt perspective or understanding of our own beliefs and judgments and perspectives, very half-baked perspectives. We have to wrestle with God in order to get deeper with God. And I just think about it in my own marriage and my own relationships, is the relationships that are deeper than others in my life are those that I have wrestled with, not physically, obviously, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. How about you? What relationships are deeper in your life? I would venture to guess, and again, I'm externally processing, that many of your relationships that are deeper, you have done more wrestling with than with those that you agree on everything and you don't, and it's an inch deep. The relationship is an inch deep. So those are some really interesting thoughts I wanted to share with you all. Let's see. Okay, this is another great thought, great question. How do I attend better? How do I get better at attending, about being in the moment, about listening more actively, paying better attention? How can I pay more attention to what's going on around me? And especially in the relationships that you have, how can you get better at attending to the relationships that are in your life more intentionally? How can you become a more active listener? What else is on your brain when you're in a conversation with somebody? Are you waiting to share your perspective and your thoughts, or are you truly seeking first to understand, then be understood? Are you seeking truly truth, beauty, and goodness within that other person or from that other person versus just sharing your own 2 cents? Many times, many people, it is about their agenda versus truly seeking out truth, beauty, and goodness within or from that other person. So, and then all of this stuff, right, is, how can I teach my kid this stuff? How can I become more intentional at teaching my kid how to attend better, how to be more in the moment and more present, rather than either thinking about the past too much or thinking about the future too much, but being more in the moment, paying more attention, being more thankful, feeling the cool breeze on me right now and hearing the stream down below from where I'm at right now, and seeing the beautiful, I've got a little purple bug that just flew by, the beautiful yellow aspen leaves with the white trunks, and the pine trees, and the huge gray mountain, this big giant gray mountain, checkered with different pine trees and stuff, right? It's just, how can I attend better? How can I pay more attention? How can I be more thankful? Which is another, I don't know that I've done this episode. There's gonna be another episode I'm gonna do on the thankfulness exercise maybe I already did that episode. I'll have to look back and check it out. But here's some other thoughts here. What are you willing to be persuaded about? What are you not willing to be persuaded about? Should there be an area that I'm not willing to be persuaded about? What's at risk with being willing to be persuaded about something? And how does our emotional intelligence impact our beliefs? That's a massive one. That's a good one to end on. So I'll save my notes from my notebook another time. How does our emotional health or emotional intelligence impact our beliefs? And I'm not going to answer that for you, obviously for you, but I will tell you, for me personally, my emotional intelligence and emotional health drastically impacted my spiritual beliefs, i.e. my faith, and impacted my personal beliefs about myself tremendously. And some people would like to think that better systems, better structure, better habits, is the answer to a better life, a better lived life. As I've been on this emotional growth journey for the past 4 years, my perspective is getting healthier emotionally impacts all those other areas. Because I would also argue that most people, just based on my last 4 years of being in this space and this journey, most people have no idea how their emotions, how deep their emotions are impacting their faith, their spiritual health, their spiritual walk, their own personal beliefs, their own personal structure, emotional structure, thought structure, belief structure that they have, how much of all that is impacted by our emotions. That one book I've talked about many times in many episodes, it's called Emotionally Healthy Spirituality, and the subtitle is, It's Impossible to be Spiritually Mature While Remaining Emotionally Immature. It's impossible to be spiritually mature while remaining emotionally immature. And one of the principles that I want to share is tools, the perfect tools, systems, and processes will not compensate for a low emotional intelligence, in my opinion. In my opinion, you cannot out-process, out-system, out-tool, out-structure a low EQ, low emotional health, low emotional intelligence, which is why, I'm so excited you guys are on this journey with me, alongside me. Please let your friends know, family know. Thank you for, again, sharing, subscribing, rating, and reviewing. That really helps out a lot if you guys wouldn't mind. For those of y'all that are listening or watching our YouTube channel, listening to our podcast, please go to our podcast and just, give us a review. And then share a thought. What's one of your takeaways that you've gotten from one of the episodes? That means a lot. And again, if you want to check out our free course, check out eqgangster.com. If you've already checked out our course, jump on the wait list to get more details about when we're opening up the EQ Mafia. Again, just go to eqgangster.com and we'll update you with all those details. So thankful that you're part of this emotional growth journey. Emotionally healthy people help heal other people emotionally. And excited for you to hear the episode. I think before this, if you did not listen to the previous episode, being in this environment just absolutely makes me come alive, makes my soul come alive. What environment makes your soul come alive? So again, thank you for listening or watching, and hope you got lots out of this. Please share, rate, review, subscribe.